Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Good morning and welcome to the first episode of the Northeast File. The great one-horned rhino is the least threatened species in the world. The Kaziranga National Park in Assam is home for the largest number of rhinos. But poaching for its prized horn is casting fresh doubts about the very survival of this animal. Let's go to the banks of the river Brahmaputra and debate the issue.
As the sun sets, the nocturnal world stirs. The prey animals emerge. Hunters of another world, alien to the jungle, also emerge with guns and brutal instruments to eradicate animals and plants for monetary gains. The Indian one-horned rhino has always been the prime target for its precious horn. There are reports that militants have taken refuge in wildlife sanctuaries in Assam and have hacked rhinos to finance their insurgency movement. The story is somewhat rosy for the Kaziranga National Park in the heart of Assam, which has been the single largest repository of the one-horned rhinoceros for 50 years. Of the 5 species that exist, the Indian one-horn, also called the fire horn, has the greatest success story. The pressure on the Indian rhino has increased because of its use in Oriental medicine. An Asian horn can fetch the poacher up to $45,000 per kilogram. The Indian rhino horn weighs between 800 grams to 1 kilo. The horn is in fact not a horn, but only an accumulation of hair. The Indian effort in conservation has been largely responsible for saving the rhino from extinction.
Now we are having 1200 and plus rhinos. This is a success story of the conservation of rhinos in Kaziranga National Park.
The spread of militants into the jungle has cast fresh doubts on the survival of the rhino.
We are going for the raid outside the national park. We have recovered very sophisticated arms from Karbi Angling districts. We have arrested the poachers, and also there are a lot of encounter which has taken place within the 2 years by which the number of poachers have been killed inside the Kaziranga National Park.
शिकारी का हथियार बढ़िया होने से हम लोग को लिए वो लोग को भी डरता ही होगा। हम लोग तो वो लोग का ऐसा होता है, हम लोग देख के घूमता है, वो लोग लुका छुपा के घूमता है। इसीलिए हम लोग का नज़र में कभी वो लोग आ जाएगा तो हम लोग को उन लोग को छोड़ता नहीं।
Despite all efforts, the government have not been able so far to stop this menace. Because you know this poachers, as for instance is Kaziranga, it is a very wide area, big area. So in that area the poachers are very well equipped. So this compared to that, these guards, home guards or other guards, forest guards, they are not so.
There are some restrictions for utilization of sophisticated weapons. Even our staffs are not entitled to handle .303 rifles. So the restriction is there. Of course, from the other side, the poachers are coming with the carbines, silencer, which makes it difficult for our staff to combat with.
It is fact that our staff was reasonably equipped with firearms till the current situation evolved. There are about 250 firearms in the Kaziranga. Now there are occasions when some of the poachers have entered the sanctuary with sophisticated arms. We are trying to see if we can supply sophisticated arms at least to certain level of staff.
The hunters have even changed their strategies from pig poaching to gunshots. This requires more camps inside and a greater mobility of staff. But the effectiveness of the staff depends on their morale, which is proportional to the facilities and working conditions. The pressure on the staff is increased further with the proposal of the state government to increase the size of the national park. Working conditions apart, there is even a difference in treatment between the various forces doing the same job.
So far I have seen in our national park, some forest battalion have been posted here. There I have seen they are getting free ration and uniform also. I think in 1 year they are getting 2-3 pairs uniform and hunting shoe also. But our forest people, though they are from the same department, but they are not getting all these facilities.
With this type of 24 hours duty, after having this type of duty, they're required to go home at least once in a month.
It is true that the armed police camps who stay in the forest area, they get the facilities of ration and perhaps some additional allowances. We have requested the state government to see that the staff used for the protection duties are provided with the similar facilities which the armed police get in the state. So far as Government of India is concerned, we will be in a position to support if the state approves such scheme.
The Kaziranga National Park has the highest number of rhinos in the world, and there is bound to be a spillover to the range areas. Cooperation from villagers who live on the periphery depends on their economic status, which needs improvement. Kaziranga's problems are as varied as its wildlife. Statistically, the threatened rhino is back from the brink, but statistics can be misleading.
Our next section, Canvas, will bring you every week leaves from the rich cultures of these ancient societies. We will introduce you to festivals, arts and traditions of the Seven Sisters. In Canvas today, we are going to Moirang and celebrating Lai Haraoba in honor of Lord Thanzing.
When monsoon clouds emerge on the horizon in Manipur, every village prepares to worship the local deity. Belief has it that deities called Umang Lais dwell in forests and hills, and Lai Haraoba is the festival to atone the gods. 16 villages of Moirang, once a powerful principality, assemble at the shrine of the local deity of Lord Thanzing. Pena singers summon the spirit of the deity and lull it to sleep. Celebrated for 30 days, Thanzing Lai Haraoba begins every day with a procession. First, the ladies, wives of the courtiers, arrive in grace. The courtiers, in their traditional gear, remind one of the legends of war and chivalry. The king and queen arrive with great pomp and show. He is not the hereditary king, but elected each year. The festival begins on a Sunday in April, the day Thanzing wished to descend to the banks of the picturesque Loktak Lake. Pena singers awaken the spirits at daybreak, and Maibis offer flowers to the twinkling of the bells. After the king seeks the blessings of Lord Thanzing, the evening falls into an extravaganza of dance. The priests and maibis chant and dance to rouse the dormant spirit of deities. This is the Khamba Thoibi dance, a love dance based on the epic legend of Khamba Thoibi, which is akin to the Heer Ranja legend of the north. Another event is the opera of the tug of war between men and women dressed in their best. The chivalrous men make way for the ladies' victory. Moirang is the fountainhead of Manipuri folklore and Manipuri culture. It is a great community event and almost everyone participates. Traditionally and historically, every able Manipuri was a warrior. A day of festivity at Lai Haraoba comes to a close, but not without the daring martial art, Thang Tak.
The entire Northeast has a special fragrance. We talked to Dr. Indira Goswami, an author from Assam, who has written about the various hues of colors from the Northeast. Let's share some of the flavors with her.
This is the residence of Dr. Indira Goswami, an eminent Assamese writer. A professor teaching modern Indian languages in Delhi University, Dr. Goswami is popular as Mamoni Raison Goswami among the innumerable readers of her novels. Dr. Indira Goswami is straight and pungent in her writings. Her pen moves like a sword while writing about social conventions. Maybe this is the reason that has earned her the reputation of being a rebel.
Of course, I am rebel in a sense wherever I see discriminancy and other evils. I do. In all my books I have done that. And but then I am not a very feminist. Being a woman, people say you should not speak about sex or thing like that. You know, in my early childhood, early days, student days, I used to write about sex in my short stories and all. And one of my relations told me that, oh, you are writing all these things and who will marry you? People will think that you have already gone through so many experiences, but it was not like that. But feeling, whatever you feel, you should express.
Dr. Goswami comes from Assam. The panorama of her creations stretches far beyond, even to envelop the harsh realities of factory workers and widows in the towns of northern Indian states. Her creations flow from the nostalgic moments of her associations with the poor and the downtrodden.
So you have to go to them, mix with them, and to find out the real causes. You have to stay with them. That's what I very strongly feel. And so I wrote Neel Braja, staying in Vrindavan. In 1974, I went to Ahiran, Madhya Pradesh, and wrote my novel there on the workers. And I went to Rai Bareli, to Sai Aqueduct, to stay with the workers. And I stayed there and wrote my novel, The Rusted Sword, the Mamare Dhara Torwal.
The sufferings and agonies of the oppressed in the society are the cardinal themes of her novels. Her autobiography, recently published, was popular but controversial. Many feel that an autobiography at this stage may be premature.
You know, I wrote it because some of my publishers, they are completely, obsessed by, obsessed in the sense that they want that I should write my autobiography, because they find that my life is somehow not very, it is different from many people. Yes, my autobiography has become very controversial. And then it is not a complete autobiography. It is only some portion of my life I have depicted. But my very dear brothers, sisters, and mother even has not come out that the way I wanted to.
In 1982, her novel Rusted Sword won an award from the Sahitya Academy. She was awarded again for her novel Saga of Kamrup in 1988 by Assam Sahitya. The work was later adopted for the production of a television serial.
I want to write more about Assam and weavers of Assam, then about Kamakha temple. I have already started, but I am so busy nowadays that I get very little time to sit with my creative writings, because I am writing a huge book on comparative, Ramayana also, Tulsi's Ramsarit Manas and Assamese Madhav Kandili's Ramayana.
Her literary writings are the mirror of harsh social realities. Not surprisingly, Dr. Goswami smiles today in the exclusive column of very few women writers, having an image for themselves in their crusade against the deadly customs of a traditional society.
What's your idea for tourist destination? Snow-clad hills, beaches, exotic locales? And how about a palace? That too in the middle of a lake? It's not just any palace, it's a lake palace. In our next section, Destination, come with us to Neermahal in Tripura and rediscover the glorious past.
Neermahal, a gracious palace on Lake Rudrasagar, 53 kilometers from Agartala. The placid calm of the water and the silence that envelops the monument gives an erroneous impression of the age of this stately palace. Yet Neermahal was built just 65 years ago. It was the summer residence of the King of Tripura, Maharaja Bikram Kishore Manikya Bahadur. In its prime, when the king was in residence, Neermahal must have resounded with joyous music, laughter, and the sounds of merriment as servants, courtiers, and concubines coursed through the palace's rooms and corridors. This was really a summer palace, and its interiors were purpose-built to provide space for entertainment and relaxation for the king and his guests. Dancing floors, music chambers, hammams, and gardens were all planned to transport the inmates into a magic world. But today, all that is no more. Not even the shadow of a ghost meets the occasional visitor. After the king's death in 1947, an era came to an end, and with it, the palace fell to disrepair. The desolation of Neermahal, though heartbreaking it may be, cannot be its destiny. Neermahal is a proud monument to the history of Tripura, and like other monuments that have come to life once the people have started visiting them, Neermahal will surely survive. Some efforts are already at hand. The government of Tripura has begun a cleaning of the palace.
The tourists who come here should feel pleasure, plus the air which we are getting on the top of it, as well as the Queen's Place and the King's Place. That is very nice. We feel when it was in its original place, it was very good. जैसे कहा है, खंडरत बता रहे हैं, इमारत बुलंद थी.
It was completely filled up by the bush, thorn trees and washed materials. After taking over that place, our department appointed some staffs as a gardener, and I was also with them to replace the all kinds of wasted materials, thorns and bushes, and started our trees garden and planted since 1985.
Neermahal remains a remarkable example of the architecture of princely India. It effortlessly synthesizes elements of Hindu, Mughal, and European architecture, without taking away from the harmony that unites the whole structure to its setting. The palace is divided into two segments. The Andar Mahal, in the west, was the king's personal residence, and the eastern wing comprised the chambers of the king's bodyguards, servants' quarters, and guest rooms. Neermahal, it is said, was the closest one could get to paradise on earth.
Neermahal is 53 kilometers from Agartala and about 8 kilometers from Sonamura town. Tourist coaches and taxis are available from Agartala. Rail link: the nearest rail link is Kumarghat, 140 kilometers from Agartala. Airport: nearest airport is Agartala. Hotel: nearest lodge is at Sonamura, which also has a restaurant complex. Tourist tips: make travel arrangements in advance, especially if you're planning to travel within September and April, the busiest tourist season. Foreign tourists are required to have restricted area permits. They have to visit in groups of minimum 4 members, and the duration of stay cannot exceed 10 days.